This is the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast.
Anyway, we've strayed way off topic as we've ended this chapter, because I think we've ended this chapter.
You think? You think we're done?
Yeah.
I think we're done.
I think we're done. Shall we turn off recording?
Okay, thank you everyone for listening.
You know what? We didn't thank our patrons that we set up.
Right. Okay.
Right.
All right. One last little thing to put up here at the top of the episode before we close out for the day.
So we have 3 people to thank for Patreons since the last time we have thanked our Patreons. We have Russell Hinson.
Thank you, Russell. And we also have someone who I saw in the live chat today, Lady Marzipan. Thank you so much.
I do love Marzipan.
Marzipan is fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Good name choice.
Because I love tiramisu, right? So
who does not love tiramisu? Sorry.
And shout out to Ian for upping your donation.
Yes, we noticed a undoubtedly not to be sustained level of upgraded donation. We do thank you very much for the brief spike. That's very sweet. Thank you, Ian.
All right. Shall we get into this? So we're doing 2 chapters today. An Egwene chapter, which is light years ahead of the next chapter after it, which is the Perrin chapter.
Right.
Well, except the Ituralde POV has got to be later, because that's in Rand's timeline.
Who needs timelines? No one needs timelines. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Remember when we used to sync timelines up to make the plot easier to understand?
Nah.
This is way too out of sync for us to do that.
But yeah, today we're doing A Call to Stand and Oddities. And A Call to Stand, I was like, that feels like a really familiar title. And then I looked at the title list, and sure enough, Chapter 24 was To Make a Stand. And now here we are, Chapter 27, A Call to Stand. And I'm just really feeling a lot of laziness from the chapter title department at this point.
I feel like it's also a reference to back when there was a call to stand. It's like any vote in the Amerlinds or in the hall, there's always going to be that call for the majority to stand, right? And so I'm not sure. I didn't check to see if that was also a title back when she got her proclamation that she gets to the war on Elida. I think that may have also been called.
Oh, is this like another leave takings kind of situation?
I'm guessing. I haven't done the research.
They're just like, we're gonna reuse the concept of standing over and over again because it's just so plot relevant. I think that one was called Called to a Sitting or something.
Okay.
Sit, stand, roll over, shake, play dead.
Good Amerlin, yes. You want a treat? Do you want a Terangriel? Yes. Okay, you're going to have to go get them from Elaine. Okay, go get them. Go send a couple of accepted. Good girl. Okay, I've been training Harvey too long.
Yeah, definitely.
So she's writing a letter, right, about Rand to High Lord, or receiving a letter and then replying to a letter from High Lord Darlin.
Yeah, this is the Rand was so clever to piss Egwene off so that way she would collect all of his allies at the fields of Maradon aligned behind her, so that way if he can convince her, he convinces everyone else in one fell swoop. Ha ha ha, isn't he clever for using her to be his secretary? Right. This is her doing his secretarial bidding in a 4D chess kind of way. And yeah, basically saying, bring all your people over after Darlin. This letter from Darlin is saying, the Sean Chan, though, kind of sketch.
Right. Everybody's saying, but the Sean Chan. She's like, no. I promise you gateways. If you need to get back, bring your whole army. Because if you need to get back, I will totally give you gateways to get back immediately. So you're not even really gone.
Right. Which is, I guess, sure. But because her premise of being just against Rand on principle is wrong, I don't care.
Right. The breaking of the seals as like this thing that, of course, he needs to do, right? Like,
yeah, it's what you were saying in the last episode, that Sanderson really likes to spend a character's time on something that means nothing at all. Like, he likes to set them up to be doing something that's pointless. That's really Egwene opposing the breaking of the seals. Is like, it's just wrong. It's just incorrect and doesn't matter, and is a really frustrating thing to spend Egwene's page time on. Less frustrating than Gawain, but I would like Egwene to do something cool rather than 2 things that are very frustrating.
Mm-hmm. He likes to put them in a direction, like he gives them this task they need to do, which puts them in the right direction, but the task is ultimately futile, only for them to discover they're in the right position to do something else, right? That's one of his little favorite tropes. And it's one of his twists. You know, everyone's like, he's so good at twists. That's one of his like standard twists. You're really like, oh, this thing that I thought mattered doesn't really matter. But it does, but it put them in the right position to do this other thing. And I'm not going to throw out too many examples out there, but like they exist in his canon.
I mean, yeah, he has not invented this. This is a thing that other people do for sure. But I don't know. I think it's pretty basic on the twist scale. This is like 101 for twists. And
sure.
I'm annoyed that it's being used on Egwene like this.
Once she sort of realizes that like, she's like, oh, I'm using Rand's proclamation to gather the monarchs. She sort of realizes not that she's doing it at Rand's bidding, but that she is bringing together. She's using that proclamation to bring together her side and her group of people. After that, she gets the news that the invasion in the Borderlands has begun. Right,
which does synchronize us between Egwene and Ituralde, which, you know, again, like you were saying earlier, we know that this all has to be very modern because Ituralde is really getting pushed down to the wire and Rand is going to need to rescue him pretty soon.
Pretty soon, right. Because we find out, just doing delaying tactics.
Yep.
The next thing is Sylviana basically saying, hey, the meeting of the hall is happening.
Yeah. The hall is back to its tricksy ways and Egwene has kind of set up a couple of contingencies for this. She wants to be informed right away. She wants her supporters to be informed right away. She has sort of a legislative idea in mind, just waiting for the hall to set her off.
We get these two accepted. Nicola, who we all know Nicola, and Nisa?
Nissan Kia? What?
Nisa is one of the fan-named characters, named for Nisa Reichenbach.
Oh, so she got to hang out with Nicola and kind of tag along for some relevant careership.
Totally. No, and that's where some of these characters, these Aes Sedai, get mentioned more than once, who are fan-based characters. So, and then there's Nashaman as well, who gets quite a number of mentions. So that's what I think in the last chapter when I was saying it's kind of lazy that he only mentioned the name once. Like here, he does a better job of actually using these characters for a scene or two and using the name several times, as opposed in the last chapters where it was like plug in the names, use pronouns for the rest of the mentions of them, and never see them again.
Maybe they were written at different points in his practice of that particular technique.
Because we have a couple of more Aes Sedai here that have the fan names, right? So Rachin Conreal is named after Rachel O'Connor.
Oh, cool.
I didn't find anybody for Viria, who's their sisters, so I only got one name there. So I don't know if the other one was actually named after somebody, but I would assume it was.
Sure.
But I wasn't able to find that name. And we get like lists of the sisters who are sitting there.
Right, which are all women that we've had around forever and ever. None of them are new.
Right.
I mean, it's the hall. It's the integrated hall. She interacted with both of those halls pretty intensively.
And there's a complete list in the Encyclopedia Watt if you want to like figure out exactly who's in that room. They broke it down, so I don't think we need to repeat that information.
And then Egwene does one of the cool lines of these two chapters where she comes in and Ramonda's like, so you going to say anything? And Egwene says, well, you didn't invite me, so I assume you didn't want my words. I'm just here to watch. And I'm like, okay, I kind of enjoyed that. That was a good little Egwene smackdown. I enjoyed that one thing. I don't enjoy most of this, but okay, I liked that.
There is bones here of what, the manipulation that Egwene is so well known for, where she does manipulate the hall. But again, I feel like it just kind of happens in front of her and she goes, sure, yeah, great. Like she almost doesn't even make anything. She doesn't manipulate anybody here. It just kind of falls into her lap.
Well, you don't have to manipulate people if they're already where you want them.
I guess, yeah.
The thing is that I think is supposed to be clever about this is that she anticipated all of these moves and she's 9 steps ahead of them, not by manipulating them, but just by knowing what, like they're still reacting to her and she's acting ahead of them. So essentially she's, sloughing off a bunch of responsibilities onto them so that she can focus on other things. And it just so happens that that is what they think they want. I don't know if I believe that 20 women with 2,000 years of collective experience between them didn't anticipate what an 18-year-old could think of.
Sure.
But that's what the cleverness is.
But we ignore that, right? Because we ignore that Egwene and Rand don't have the experience that they don't have, right? We give them the experience. Rand now, I guess, has the memories of a 400-year-old man, right? But
just one, though.
Yeah, just one.
I mean, she's going up against, literally like 2,000 years of accumulated lived experience, right?
Right. But so what happens, right, to summarize, is they take away the powers of war away from her, which she's like, great, I don't have to do that administrative duty anymore. Because, like, the war with the Shadow is going to be this big, giant, sprawling thing, not just this fight against the White Tower. So the paperwork is very hard for one person to do for this entire big, sprawling war, right?
Right. This is something that Congress should be in charge of, not the president personally. That just makes logistical sense.
And if you look at the American political system, that's the way it's supposed to be, right? Congress is supposed to run wars. The president is not supposed to be declaring war.
Right. The president is supposed to be talking to other heads of state who have their own Congresses who are actually prosecuting the war. Like, that's how the layer cake is taught to us in school. So that's how it works, correct?
We're going to ignore what's going on in the real world right now for that. We don't need to talk about who's doing war. But she does say, and I think the thing that gets me is Leanne is the one who suggests she should deal with kings. I think if she had suggested it and they had approved it, I would have been happier.
Lelaine, but yeah.
Lelaine, sorry. The fact that Lelaine is the one who suggested it, it kind of feels almost just like, because she didn't influence Lelaine in any way. She didn't plant the seeds. She didn't reach out to her. I feel like if there had been some other backdoor manipulation to get her to say that, I would have been happier with that.
Yeah, if we had had some passing comment in the hall where Egwene planted a seed a week ago. Yeah, I feel like this is a thing that we didn't get to see as much of on the page as we should have. I feel like we're being told what happened rather than shown what happened. And I personally would have preferred a hallway walk and talk sniping session between Egwene and Lelaine to Perrin reiterating how he doesn't understand the difference between wood axes and war axes. This feels like we skipped an important little bit of interaction in favor for an umpteenth iteration of something we already knew.
Oh, and the other thing I really hate, when Doacine and Yukiri walk in and say, what motion are we standing for? And Saren answers, an important one. And they go, okay, we'll stand, with no context, no idea what's going on, no idea what they're actually voting for. And they make the balance. That ends the vote. And it's like, what? What Taviran bullshit is she pulling here, right? This, to me, very coincidental, very lucky.
No, they came in because they were summoned by Nicola and that other chick. That's the whole point, is that they were summoned. You got to go and stand with the Amerlin right now.
Okay. So they're told to stand. Okay.
This was the contingency that Egwene had planned for. It was at some point, I'm going to summon you and you need to walk in and just stand for whatever the hell is happening.
I missed that.
Well, because it's not obvious, because we were not given nearly as much page time to put that together as we could have been, because again, Perrin doesn't understand that it's book 13 anymore. I'm sorry, I'm really just stuck on Perrin being stuck on his own shit, and I can put this together, what Egwene did here, but it needed a few pages of her being clever with some Aes Sedai to really make this feel, what's the term you used the other day? Earned. This does not feel earned. This cleverness feels like Taviran twisting rather than her actually being clever. But if you read really carefully, you can see she did the work. She just didn't get the page time to show us. She's just telling us at the end, aha, look at me, I am clever because now I've reunited the tower. We don't need to examine my actions. We need to navel gaze with Perrin.
And so in that sort of interaction, when they realize, hey, we fucked up, or you fucked up because you gave her the powers to deal with the dragon, and now we're dealing with all the administrative crap, Egwene basically says, listen, this is stupid. This meeting in secret is stupid. Let's stop doing it, and let's vote to stop meeting in secret, because it just leads to all the backbiting. It led to the weird deposition of Suan where not everybody was present. Let's make sure that everybody gets notified before we have these meetings, right? And it's a pretty simple procedural, but significant procedural change that everybody just agrees with her on.
Yeah. Which, okay, cool.
Which, I mean, and it feels like undoing one of those, you know how we always talk about people like, why is the tower so dumb? And we're like, well, the Black Ajah has put in institutional things that are just stupid and make things work badly. And I think this is one of them, the meetings in secret.
Yeah.
And so it's undoing some of those Black Ajah institutional badnesses.
Yeah, it's unnecessary bureaucratic red tape that's meant to slow and concentrate processes and flows of power and
make it easier to influence a vote with a minority of people, so you can get together your Black Ajah buddies and like push to have something passed.
Yeah.
With a minority in secret, like the overthrowing of Suwon.
Yeah, the White Tower needs to be way more transparent than it has been, and this is a necessary rectification of what has been built to obscure.
Let's see. I don't know. Egwene says they could have pulled command away from me at any time. I'm like, could they? Because I thought they needed your approval to do that, at least that way. But I guess there's other ways that they thought of that they could have pulled the power away from her. So I'm not going to nitpick too much over that point. So then she sends away the Accepted to go get the ter'angreal from Elaine.
Because she is trying to catch what she thinks is Masana and the blood knives at the same time. She's really only going to catch Masana. The blood knives are not going to be in the dream. But either way, the assassinations have tapered off and there's been no further attacks on her infrastructure. So she's trying to up the odds of Masana wanting to interact with her by doing a whole dream thing, which somehow Elaine had managed to make several dream ter'angreal at some point, but has not sent them over to the tower yet. I'm a little confused about how Elaine suddenly has a bunch of dream ter'angreal, because I thought she wasn't making them currently.
I mean, she's making wolfhead ter'angreal. She's pumping those, or foxhead ter'angreal. She's pumping those out.
Yeah, but no one asked her to make more dream ter'angreal, and she hasn't talked about doing a engineering work session at all. So again, I'm confused why I had to hear and will continue to have to hear so much about Perrin's navel gazing when there's all this cool stuff that the girls are doing, the women are doing.
Right. That's just in the sort of backgrounded and barely mentioned.
I don't know. I think it's kind of weird.
Mm-hmm. But so, I mean, Gawain has killed the blood knives. I don't remember if there's any blood knives left.
Yeah, that's why he almost dies in her arms.
Okay, fighting the other. So he hasn't...
Because I think there was 6 that got sent in. Bryn killed 1. He's currently scared off 2 at a time, and I believe he takes down 3 in that final fight.
Okay.
He didn't kill any in this other interaction, but I'm pretty sure it's 3 in the final fight that he takes down.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 3 in the final fight. Yeah.
So I don't quite know what happened to all of the blood knives. We know that 1 died in the initial incursion, and then he kills 3. But so that leaves 2 unaccounted for. We
also don't know. You know, they say wearing the blood knife ring is deadly, but we have no idea how long it's going to be, because days pass here without a murder. Like, are they putting on rings in turn so that as the first 3 put their rings on and then the next 3 wait till they're dead to put on their rings? Like, what's going on there? Like, how long does it take someone to die from the blood ring? Because Gawain just gets killed pretty quick.
We know that if you take the ring off, it slows the process. It doesn't stop it, but it does slow the process if you remove the ring. So if you only put the ring on for your actual incursions, you can stretch it out for quite a while. Whereas Gawain, puts all 3 on at the same time and just keeps them on. And yeah. Also, he gets stabbed. But yeah, I think that they all activate their rings, but they just slip them on and off pretty frequently. So that way they can stretch it out.
I think they find little hiding spots and take the ring off.
Right, exactly. If you find a broom closet that clearly no one's using, you don't have to wear the ring while you're sleeping in there for 8 hours. Oh yeah, I thought there might have been 4 only. Yeah, I honestly don't remember. I feel like when we saw them take off, we did get a number. I just don't remember what the number was.
Let me see if I can find anything.
Right, because Tuon kisses them on the head and is like, "May your sacrifice, bring honor to the Empire or whatever.
Ah, okay. Well, the wiki says 5 blood knives were sent.
5.
One of them attacks Susan and Gareth Brandon is killed. So there's 4 left. Notices one near Egwene's room, but is unable to kill him, retains his knife. He enters Egwene's chamber, finds 2 blood knives, a third one entering shortly thereafter. So, yeah, there's one unaccounted for, right? Because 5 enter, 4 killed, and 1 is totally unaccounted for.
We just lose a whole blood knife? An entire assassin dedicated to causing chaos and mischief for the good guys. And we just lose him between the couch cushions?
Yeah.
Boo.
I mean, as far as I can tell, like, someone correct me, please, but that's 4 definitely killed. But the 5th, unless you want to count the one that, like, threw his knife at him and ran away as the 5th one, and somehow he, like, just, curled up in a corner and died after that.
Well, there's a couple of different headcanons we can apply. Either he or she died without making another kill. The blood knife timer thingamajiggy ran out while they were, still stuck in a broom closet trying to figure out what they were going to do next. Or they defected to the good guys' side and decided to use their assassin powers on the side of the good guys without ever announcing their presence. Or they ran off to make mischief and chaos elsewhere, to return to the Shanshan, to make their way to the front lines. Maybe one of them was a dark friend and just bounced immediately to go try to assassinate Tuon. There's a lot of things that 5th missing one could be doing. Bring us your fanfic.
That'd be actually a pretty good fanfic. Is just like that one blood knife who like sees Gawain take out 3 of the other blood knives and is like, peace. Like, I'm not gonna put this ring back on. I'm just gonna sneak out of here and go live my life as a farmer or something like that. And carrying around this secret in his pocket that will kill him if he ever puts it back on. But at some point, when he's an old man, has to save a family that he created and puts the ring back on to take down some of the final Trollocs roaming the countryside. And
his name was Pilbo Paggins.
Right, exactly. Would it kind of be like your grandpa pulling out a gun to like shoot something, and you're like, oh, where'd you get that gun? And you see like a Nazi symbol on it, and he's like, I've had it for a while.
I mean, it's kind of like if a monster busted in your door one night and your dad pulled out a heron-marked sword from under the bed and was like, actually, I fought for Tyr that one time.
Were they part of the good guys or the Axis of powers?
Right,
which?
Though I did learn a pretty interesting thing a while back that immediately after World War II, a lot of the motorcycle gangs that went around with Nazi icons on their stuff, it was all war trophies. It was not allegiance to the Nazi party. It was, I ripped this off of a Nazi's corpse.
Sure, yeah.
That
there was
definitely
like
a phase of that.
Totally.
There's a period of the photographs and the stereotype where it's like, no, those are war trophies. It's different. It's not the same as like now when you're just like, oh, that means that they like Nazis. Like, no, they liked killing Nazis. That was actually what that meant for a hot minute.
I grew up with a Japanese, a flag from World War II, the Japanese Empire, on my wall that my grandfather, who fought in World War II, captured and brought home and framed and passed down to my mother, right? Like, so that was something that was in my house, was a war trophy from World War II, right? Like, I remember that. So I have no idea where it is now. I think it ended up with my sister, I think. No idea.
Huh. There's a whole display of those at the Astoria Marine Museum, I think. They had a whole wing of that space that was dedicated to captured flags, and it was a very moving exhibit. Really just trippy seeing those. Like, just, yeah, these are like the actual, like, picked up off of a battlefield flags. Very trippy. Oh, Sama Nasai has come through us in chat. The 5th blood knife was found during a subsequent search of the tower. The individual killed 2 or 3 guards/warders before being put down by other tower personnel.
Ooh, thank you.
Wow,
okay.
Nice. Thank you very much. You have earned that brown color on your name. Love that. Okay, so yeah, they effectively died ineffectively. They were hiding in a broom closet trying to figure out what to do next as everything unraveled, and then ultimately got cornered and killed like a rat.
Right. I mean, they took down some of these, like a bunch of these deaths were from the blood knives, right?
True.
Yeah.
And I mean, taking down 2 or 3 more good fighters on the way out is not bad. But okay, cool. So I guess don't bring us your fanfic for what happened to the fifth blood knife. We know what happened canonically. Stand down! Stand down!
I can dream though, right?
I mean, it's fiction. You can do what you want. It's just a wave.
It's just a wave. So she's starting her plan, right? She's spreading these rumors that she's going to have a meeting in Teleron Riyadh at night. And so she's spreading rumors to that effect so that this will get back to Masana and she'll show up in the dream world. And that she's using the girls for that. That's part of why she's sending them to fetch the ter'angreal and telling them that they're going to be trained in using the ter'angreal so that they're going to be there for this important meeting.
Right. And this is mainly so she can spread rumors. Like, yes, she does need the ter'angreal, but she's very free with that information and doesn't swear them to secrecy because she needs the rumors to not take too long to fly.
So they found out that Gawain has, through gateways, of course, is in Andor.
Oh, yeah. He did not just go off to sulk in the city. He ran all the way away to his sister. And then Egwene says the most true thing ever, that man will be the death of me.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Egwene, yes, he will.
Yeah, he will. Fuck. That's rough.
And she orders him to come back so that way he can, save her life before he is the death of her.
And doesn't that order piss him off because it's said in the most harsh way of you are commanded to return or something like that?
Yeah, because it's in Sylviana's voice, not Egwene's voice.
Totally. Not that Egwene, but if you look at Egwene's I order him to return. There's no fucking nuance to it, right?
Yeah. It's even though you completely suck, I need you to come back right now. And he's like, bitch, please. Which, honestly, fair reaction. It's super rude. But having it run through the Sylviana filter does not help. That just adds more
I don't get the relationship. Yeah.
Vinegar to the whole situation. Yeah, I don't get their relationship either. You really don't.
At no point, I think, is one bettered by the other, right? I think that's why it's so far. They insist on being together, but it's you don't improve her and she doesn't improve you.
Yeah, I think you're right. They never make each other better, and so why would I in the audience root for that?
Right.
At least as a person who's, been married for a while and knows what a healthy relationship can look like.
But you look at Lan and Nynaeve, and they make each she really gets him to break his shell. He is there to support her and save her life multiple times, and just sort of be the rock that she needs when when her emotions and get her in over her head, right? He pulls her literally out of the river multiple times. And that's such a good relationship on both sides where they both really are getting something out of that.
Yeah. Rand and all of his partners, he gets something from all of them. They all force themselves to level up in order to, meet him where he needs to be met at. Perrin and Fael they make each other worse and then better, but they do get there eventually.
And then better, yeah. right. There's part that they definitely have a more balanced relationship where they struggle to meet each other on certain levels, but he certainly needs her on one level and she needs him on many other levels, right? He needs her administrative abilities. He needs her sort of public facing persona to get done what he needs to get to do. He needs her to manage their PR.
But the one thing that Egwene needs from Gawain, which is a loving and supportive partner, is the one thing he's incapable of being.
Right. And honestly, his effort should be back in Andor with Elaine.
Yeah, he's doing what we want him to do now. He's just still managing to not even do that correctly. Anyway, moving on to
Chapter 28.
Oddities.
Oddities.
And the last chapter logo was the flame for obvious reasons. This one is the Trollocs stuff because of the Maradon attack, because they punched through the wall in Maradon.
There's also Slayer stuff, right? So
yeah, that's true.
That could be part of that. It's dark friendery. Oddities. Do you want to read? Should I read us in? We've kind of been skipping the read-ins a little bit because I feel like
these chapters don't deserve it. They haven't earned it. Yeah, we're starting out with Perrin and Fael talking about the trial, about Maegden, about doing dream stuff. Fael is, working through her feelings of butthurt about Maegden / Morgaze, which, is fine. It's a big chunk of information to take in. She's still processing. Perrin is not interested in that. He is focused on the air smells weird. The wolves are gone. I need to go to the wolf dream and figure out what is actually happening because something is wrong. And sure enough, the second he shows up, the dome is in place and things are wrong.
Right. So yeah, the dome is affecting the real world and he's sensing that. I do like the line where Belwar is probably having a fit for not having figured out that Morgaze.
I bet he did figure it out.
Yeah. No, he's known the whole time. He's known all along. So that was a fun little exchange.
And he's so good at his job, they don't realize how deep he is in it.
Mm-hmm. We get this line that Damandred smells better than the rest, right? That Perrin thinks he can bargain with him because he doesn't smell as corrupted as the rest of the White Cloaks. He seems to have some nobility about him.
Oh my God. Oh, and can we just back up to this other really annoying line between Perrin and Fael?
Please back me up all the way.
When Perrin tells Fael, stop having an emotional reaction about what Morgaze did. Let it go. And Fael's thought is, oh, I love that he stands up for himself now. What? He just told you how to feel and you're feeling proud of him for looking out for himself? That is not having healthy boundaries. That is not healthy emotional regulation. That is not any of the growth that you claim to be having over these past few chapters. Like, telling you how to feel has nothing to do with him standing up for himself. Him controlling you is not him having a healthy respect for himself. That is gross. And I don't like it. I just don't like it. Like, it would be fine if she had been like, I'm glad that he's expressing an opinion, but just, standing up for himself. What? Why? Why can't he just be like, she had her reasons, maybe ask her about it. And then she can say, oh yeah, that's a thoughtful thing, instead of just let it go. No, I will let shit go when I'm going to let it go. Not like, never in the history of being told to calm down has someone being told to calm down calmed down.
I think you could adapt it for her to be asking him to do something about it and then saying, no, I'm not going to do something about it because I don't like him saying, I'm not doing something is different from you need to calm down. Yeah.
You let go harassing me about it would be fine. That would be fine. If he's like, I'm not doing anything about it. I don't want to hear more about it because I'm not doing anything about it. Totally fine. But yeah, it's just, it doesn't quite hit for me. It hits as her being like, oh yes, I love being emotionally dominated. Like, maybe she does, but I need that to be a different scene than what's happening right here.
Writing the Perrin-Fael relationship well is always a difficult thing to do. And I think Sanderson is giving it a shot here and just falling a little bit flat.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's supposed to be healthy is the way he wrote it, but I don't think it actually is with my critical thinking skills.
Yeah, it's supposed to be this very confrontational stand up for yourself relationship, right? Where like they both hold their ground when they think they're right, but that's different than what's happening here.
Yeah. Anyway, Fael's happy that Berylane got all gaga for Damandred, and so we're going to use that. And
she happened to notice, right? Like, there's just,
Yeah, Perrin couldn't notice, but Fael noticed. Okay.
Yeah, Perrin didn't have, I'm sure there's no smell associated with arousal that Perrin would be able to smell.
I'm literally in the middle of editing that section of our episode from last week right now. And, we hashed that out last week.
So that comes to the wolf dream.
Yep. Perrin pops into the wolf dream. And, he starts at the Tower of Genji because Matt is thinking about it so much. So that's his entry point for the night.
Okay, weirdly non-canon thing that got added there. What? That's the first and only time that has ever happened and will ever happen.
It feels like an Eye of the Worldism. If you heal someone, you can feel where they are forever and ever.
Right.
It feels like that, except that it is book 13, and I thought we were past Eye of the Worldisms, but
no, we have Sandersonisms now, right? Things that
we're past his first book. He has no excuse.
I would just say it's things that he writes in there that just don't necessarily fit in with the rest of the canon for me, or expand it in a way that I don't agree with.
And I don't see why it needs to be here. I have it never matters that Perrin knows that Matt is dealing with the Tower of Genji. That never comes up once.
It never comes up again. Like, it's very pointless to put him here, only for him to walk away from it know this place is evil, but like he knows that.
Yeah. Whatever.
There are no swirls in the wolf dream, which makes sense because the swirls seem to be, it's like you're seeing the Tel'aran'rhiod version of them somehow. You're seeing them like it feels like the swirls use Tel'aran'rhiod to show you the pattern. So if you're in Tel'aran'rhiod, of course you don't see the swirls.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense to me. You're too deep into swirly land for the swirls to propagate or something.
So, they're sort of having their little, oh, hey, yeah, this place is evil. And then Hopper sort of goes, oh, shit, something's going on, right? Because he senses the attack happening. He senses the wolves crying for help, being attacked. And so he teleports to the dome, to the Violet Dome.
Right, yeah. He identifies it as a thing that wolves have seen before, but not in a long time. But the more relevant issue is that wolves are trapped in there right now. We're not going to dwell on the 3,000 years ago world building. We are going to focus on the wolves being hunted right here, right now.
Yeah, so we get a few like Age of Legends flashes from the wolves, right? Because wolves have genetic memory. And so he talks about flying glowing discs, which are just, I think show wings.
Yeah.
Impossibly tall structures of steel, which are just, skyscrapers that we've seen. And yeah, things from the Age of Legends, yes, that's what it seems to be. And that's when these Ter'angreal are from, right? We know these were all Age of Legends versions. And it's like privacy. It's like having a lock on your door is having one of these in the house, right? So that no one can gateway in and that you have control of who's coming and going inside your home. And so I can imagine they were pretty popular back in the day.
Right, because you can set their radius, diameter thing. Like, yeah, it's a security measure. It's a magic force field that allows you to control because like it's a gateway blocker. And it totally makes sense for people to not be able to gateway into your house. Like that just seems like basic security. These are probably really normal for at least, upper middle class people back in that classless utopia that definitely didn't need Zoloft's trees just wafting over everyone.
Or maybe you have like a downtown with no gateway policy, right? Because people are just moving around too much.
Oh, like no cars in downtown because it's totally. Yeah, that makes sense.
You have to gateway to the outside and walk in, or take a Joe cart or a show cart or whatever they call them.
Yeah.
Whatever their little version of little 2-wheel bicycles that people ride without a helmet.
One wheels, yeah.
Yeah.
My brother's really into those.
Or a helmet. Those things are dangerous.
Nah, it's fine. You're only going 25 miles an hour. There's nothing that's ever happened bad to someone's skull at 25 miles an hour on pavement. Not once. Nobody from anywhere in the medical field come for me.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure a skull pretty much goes like crack against pavement at 25 miles an hour.
I mean, honestly, skulls go crack against the pavement if you just fall over too fast.
Right. If you like trip and fall, right? Like
literally.
Yeah. All right. So that's, PSA. The more you know.
Yeah,
okay.
dumb ways to die.
Right. Yeah. Don't wear a helmet.
Yeah, wear a helmet. Like if you get out of bed, just wrap yourself in bubble wrap and wear a helmet.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the dome is a thing that Perrin has to work out because, of course, Hopper can't tell him the rules. So we spend a little time figuring out how the rules of the dome work, which is basically that you can fast travel inside or outside of it, but not through it. And getting through it at all is a struggle. You can do it, but it requires mental fortitude or momentum, depending on your strategy.
Yeah. That is kind of a funny, like Hopper's like, if you use the strength of your will, you can easily pass through the pressure and just resist and Perrin's like, eat.
It's so Two Rivers of him. Can't stop me if it's physics.
Right. I'm just going to use my mass and my inertia, right? Even if it paralyzes me, as long as my body's moving fast enough, I'll get through the other side so I'm not touching it, and that'll get me through. So that was fun. That was fun.
I enjoyed the physical comedy of that moment. And so, yeah, they basically rescue Sparks, right? Sparks has been injured and can be rescued. And so all of the wolves who don't have arms and opposable thumbs distract Slayer while Perrin operates as a wolf ambulance.
Yeah. I did I liked the Perrin saying his mental image was more powerful than the substance of the world itself, right? So there's this idea that you can pass through the dome, this is more of, it's just a weave, right?
Yes.
Like, if you really are there, well, the dome, it's just a terangrial. It's just literally just another manifestation of the one power. It is just a weave. You should be able to pass through it, no problem, just imagining it's not touching you, if you have that mental fortitude.
Right, which is going to be hard because it is a real constructed magical object with actual properties. You're going to have to really, really own your place in reality to conflict with this thing, but it can be done.
That's true. It was brought in through a gateway.
Or was it just dimension swapped? Right, because he just taps it and it vanishes, and then he says, you know where to find it? Which I always assumed it meant it got put into the dream world, and that's where it exists. And also Perrin has to destroy it using the dream, right? So that suggests that it maybe is more real in the dream world than in regular reality.
Well, I mean, if you die in the dream, you die in the real world, right? There's no allowance for that, right? Nothing die. Yeah.
Either way, it takes a very strong mind to overcome something with as much reality as an engineered object, right? This isn't just someone else's imaginary ropes being thrown at your imaginary knives, right? This is a real object. You're going to have to put up a bigger fight.
And because he's there just in the dream. He's not doing his transfer thing yet.
Correct. Also that, which Slayer is. And maybe that has relevance to the dream spike. Also, speaking of Sandersonisms, what's up with this evil arrow that is in Sparks? It's like smells evil, and then the farther away they get from it, the more Sparks like comes back to life or whatever. Like, that seems like a mechanic that Slayer has never used before or since either.
Yes.
What's up with that?
That's what's up with that. I just, it's a Slayer thing, right? I'm assuming he's just using an evil arrow. I don't have a reason for it.
It's just weird that he never uses that again. You'd think that would be like his standard arrow from now on, like as a, boss level up, but alas.
I've got nothing. I've got nothing on that. I have no idea why this particular arrow. I mean, does Perrin ever pull an arrow out of another wolf? They're just killed by the arrows, And so he never actually gets a chance to smell the arrow.
Maybe when Hopper dies, he might be impaled with an arrow? Yeah, because the arrow goes through Hopper and hits Perrin in the leg. But I don't recall the arrow being mentioned as like having special evil properties. It's just standard issue screwing with your blood flow arrow.
Just Sanderson saying Slayer's evil, probably. I don't think there's anything more to it than that. And any arrows he invent in the world of dreams, have that evil smell to them because he is evil, and so anything he creates is going to have that evil miasma.
Okay.
That's all I got. I'm sorry. I don't have a better reason for you.
Boo hiss.
So there's this moment where like he's carrying Sparks and he couldn't leap directly to the edge of the dome because he didn't know where it was. And then like 2 paragraphs later, he goes to where he came in. And I'm like, yeah, that's where the edge was. Like, what do you mean like you don't know where the edge was? You came in at the edge. And then like he does, that I wanted to throw the book computer across the room when I read that.
Much not.
Because I highlighted it and I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean you yeah. Because I highlighted it. I was like, you can just go back to the beginning. And then 2 paragraphs later, I can go to the beginning. Yeah. Okay, Perrin. You're a slow thinker sometimes. Mm-hmm. You did admit that.
Yeah.
So he he uses momentum to get back through the other side, gets through the other side, realizes that Slayer's right behind him, and jumps to Dragon Mount where all the other wolves are gathering for Rand's big moment.
Yep, we're continuing to reiterate that the slopes of Dragon Mount and the wolves are going to be relevant to a scene later.
Mm-hmm. But that's safety, right? Because there's so many wolves there, Slayer would have a hard time attacking. He'd be taken down pretty quick.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering what the choice of that area would be, but yeah, maybe safety in numbers. I'm with a herd of wolves, now what?
Right, yeah, come at me. So Whisper is dead, like they did lose one more, right? Slayer's a real jerk, right? He's killing them forever. That's why he's Slayer, right? Because he's destroying these wolves' souls. He's not just killing them and putting them in the afterlife.
Yeah, he went after a mated pair of wolves and killed one and injured the other. And, that's when Perrin and Hopper and the rest of the gang were able to effect a rescue. And this really is cementing Perrin and Hopper's willingness to train together to take down Slayer. I think Hopper is getting more and more on board with the idea that the young, foolish cub can and should be leveled up. And yeah, Perrin says, I want to scout the White Cloaks and do more scouty things, and we're going to practice more, and then we POV switch. POV switch up to Maradon and Ituralde and the ultimately pointless but nonetheless epic seeming battle that is this city.
Yeah, this is a cool battle. A lot more names, right, of these characters.
Well, this is one of those plots where we didn't have a lot of named characters, and now we're putting a lot of page time in, so we're just heaving donor names in here by the barrel load. And so they're basically in a siege. Big, massive siege. They're doing the drums. They're setting up their siege equipment. He's trying to sleep.
And it's hot. It's too hot to sleep. So he comes out and he's summoned by one of the Ashaman, Deep Hadar.
Yeah.
And this is also named after a fan.
And this guy gets a lot of page time. He's pretty cool.
And he gets a lot of page time in many mentions. So Deep Badar is named for Deep Bandarai, a fan of the Wheel of Time.
Well, this guy either made a really big donation or made more contributions than just financial, because he gets a lot of plot importance and page time and really operates as a lieutenant, basically, under Ituralde for this. He's really critical to how this whole siege goes down.
And he comes back. He rides with Lan in the last battle again. So like he's not just mentioned in this scene either. He gets a whole nother scene.
Yeah.
Way to go, Deep.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and he's I was just looking through. He's Andorran, so he rides with Lan not because he's a Borderlander, but because he's a badass.
Mm-hmm.
Him and Yearly and Deep are up on the wall looking at stuff because the channelers are feeling that the Dreadlords are doing something. This is why he's been summoned, is that something is happening out there. I don't know what, but you should be informed. And then as they are talking through what they're going to do about it, the something unleashes. But that's why he's summoned.
Yeah, he's like, we don't have much time. And then a short while later, big boom. It's like...
Yeah, something Sidene-based is going to smack y'all.
And one would assume then that this tires out the Dreadlords or whoever was gathering the power enough that they have nothing left, because like they never come back to fight again.
Yeah, I would make sense that the Dark Friends would be more willing to burn their channelers out to a crisp rather than trying to hold them in any kind of reserve. Which, speaking of holding them in reserve, right, Ituralde here is saying, hey, Ashaman, y'all need to bounce. You need to leave because you are a more important asset than this city. You need to abandon us and let us die here without you because you need to go fight another day, which the dark side will never do, right? The evil side is never going to do that. That's not how they operate. That's only a good guy sort of maneuver.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it could be that they had these Dreadlords make the wall attack, never put themselves in danger, and then retreat to go fight somewhere else.
Yeah, but we don't see them show up again, so I'm assuming that means they're like burning themselves out to hurl these attacks. I mean, I don't know.
Who knows?
We don't have no idea how many channelers they even have to work with, right? Like, how valuable of a resource are they compared to the good guys?
Yeah, that we do never really get any sort of numbers or scale on the Dark Friends, not least until much later in A Memory of Light.
Right, and even then it's mostly in terms of the red-veiled Aiel, not all of the Dreadlords as a unit. It's very uncertain. It's just lots. There's lots. But how does that stack up against our guys? We don't really know.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely people who have gone through and said, like, when you look at the numbers that have been set up for the size of these armies, the people we have gathered, the different groups that come together, you really are missing an awful lot of people in the last battle. There's huge groups, huge armies that like only portions of them made it into the actual fight. And you could argue that maybe that was just a limitation of gateways, but like it really does feel like you're setting up most of the population of Randland to fight in this last battle, and then you have relatively normal-sized armies. You don't have, the millions of people that really are getting prepared to fight these battles, in my mind.
Right. It's like there's maybe 500,000 combatants kind of accounted for, and yeah, there should be several million people with pitchforks who are ready to do something to save the world. It's a little awkward.
It's a little awkward. And just like groups where, the Aiel seem to be a smaller group than they really should be if you account for like how big the Shido, even though the Shido was the biggest clan, like how big the other clans are relative to them. And they had hundreds of thousands of people. So anyway, just that's one of those things that like, I think it's just hard to really keep track of so many people in the scope of it. And like, he did a pretty good job with the scope, but I do think in some ways it still didn't feel big enough.
Yeah, I would agree. So yeah, while they're talking about whether or not they should retreat or flee or whatever, the wall gets blown up and completely changes the calculus of what you can do with a siege right there, right then. Ituralde gets essentially concussed. He can't really hear or think properly. Deep gets one of his legs basically blown off.
I mean, I assume his eardrums are blown out.
It's bad. And then he gets given the supercharged dangerous weave to pep him back up.
Mm-hmm. It's the one Moraine did to the horses and the guys back in Eye of the World when they were fleeing the Drakkar. The one where she takes away their tiredness.
Yeah, except that it's taking away like injury tiredness on top of just general weariness. Like it's digging deeper into your permanent life energy reserves than what Moraine did. But yeah, it does seem like it's in the similar kind of refreshment category.
And he specifically says this is more dangerous than the female's version of it, right? And so like this is the male version of that weave.
I would also suspect that there might be an element of quick and dirty battlefield roughness to it that like maybe doesn't have to be inherent to the male version, but because of when and how it was developed, that's what we get.
Kind of like the battle-ready healing that we have from the Aes Sedai before Nynaeve comes in and teaches them her way.
Exactly.
Oh, Antel. I didn't look that name up. Antel was named after Stephen Antel.
Nice.
As with many of the names, and here it's got the note. As with many of the names Brandon Sanderson created, was taken from the fans who donated to the Wheel of Time charity, raising money for research into amyloidosis.
Right.
I think I've mentioned that once other time, but just wanted to always bring that up, that a lot of these fan names are from that charity fundraiser.
Right. So yeah, Deep got healed through that, right? He got one of his legs blown off, but battlefield healing being what it is, he could get healed up. Ituralde runs out to see how bad it is, and it's about as bad as it could be in terms of his battlefield situation.
Although, I think yearly surviving would actually have been a really good opportunity to have a channeler in Mask of Mirrors come out and be like, "Yeah, I survived," when his dead body's lying over in the corner.
That would have been good. That would have been really good. But yeah, we get to this. This is, look, I like Yearly because of the part where he chose to disobey orders and save Ituralde and the good guys. However, this part where he's like, look, my sister has spotted help coming. You can tell because of the smoke rising from the towers. Surely we should hold on for another few hours. That's definitely not a trick of my imagination or a trick of the bad guys just burning down the place where my sister was. Surely this means that the watchfire system is working. And I'm just like, Yearly, dude, absolutely not. There's no scenario in which the watchfire system is working and you're going to get given normal relief. Like, everything is going to hell. Odds are your sister is in that column of smoke. Like, please be realistic. But no, he convinces Ituralde to continue defending the city for no reason, so that way Rand can feel extra bad when he shows up and sees piles of corpses everywhere.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they do hold until Rand gets there, pretty much. They're basically on their last leg, I think, when he shows up, though.
And for what? For what?
Right.
The city is a completely burned out ruin full of bodies that they retreat from anyway. All Rand does is save the soldiers. It's just, you could have saved more if you'd left now. But no, Yearly has to make a big puppy dog-eyed appeal to Ituralde's ego, saying, oh, show me what it really means to be a great captain. And
the sister's name is Sigril, by the way. We do not get an answer on her fate, as far as I can tell.
Well, we never get any kind of reinforcements from that watchtower, so I'm going to assume that they're all dead.
Sometimes later, Ituralde does send a scout via gateway to the ridge where she was said to have been waiting. All the scout found was an empty camp, the fire burning unattended. And Sigril is named for Sigril Anderson, a fan of the Wheel of Time.
Yeah, they did. They so did.
Yeah, you did. So basically, he's convinced to hold the line. So he basically says to the Asha'man, give me everything you got, hold them, kill as many as you can, but basically hold them off for like at least half an hour. And they hold up for an hour.
Yeah. And it's so he can prepare an ambush with the city as now we're getting really into like final Hunger Games confrontation, right? He's turning the city into a block by block combat zone.
And there's a lot of reasons, like it's set up pretty well to have a combat zone. It's got these, ceilings that are perfect for archery and long, broad roadways that are good for cavalry charges. And
right, it's the borderlands, so the city is built to be a fortress in the last defense, like down to each building. It's like the Stone of Tyr, but at civic, regular people scale rather than a magically constructed fortress.
And it's a really cool, like it's a cool battle, right? I really enjoy reading the mechanics of how he uses the buildings and uses, and I feel like it is based in history and the way people actually built fortresses to set up like this, because it's like you knew you would get invaded, so you set up your buildings to be fortresses and places to shoot down from that only you can get up to easily.
Yeah, and much like every other action sequence in military engagement, I had a lot easier time imagining this kind of scene after having Sanderson write it out. Now I can, even in other contexts where I'm having battles described to me fictional or real, it's easier for me to have that mental visual picture because of how Sanderson wrote these things. It's good battle visuals.
And they take down a bunch of Fades, they take down thousands of Trollocs. But there's enough of them that eventually they have to retreat, right? And so they're doing this game of, instead of they're retreating, ambushing, retreating, ambushing, retreating, ambushing, right? Rather than fighting them head on.
Right. So we see the first iteration of that. And then when we come back to this POV, it's happened many, many more times. And it has become a bit of a grind. But this is the first version of them where the Trollocs and the Fades are like, yeah, we win. And then they go in, there's like, oh, no, you didn't win. You've moved the battlefield. But now you have to clear the city block by block. And that's going to be hard.
And what we see is Ituralde having slaughtered huge numbers of Trollocs and Myrddraal, but having lost I think 2/3 of his men or something like that. So the cost of doing this is very high.
Right. And Ituralde displays the whole being a great general thing by saying, here's one of the lessons of being a general. If you ever have an impression that you're doing what your enemy wants you to do something else. That's quintessential art of war, right? Never do what your enemy wants you to do or expects you to do, ever.
Unless you can use it against them and scare them.
Right. Because these rules are contradictory and meant to be broken.
Because it's instinct. A lot of it's instinct. And it's rule of thumbs that
Right. It's pattern recognition. It's, having really good instincts, good at putting yourself into someone else's shoes.
I kind of think about it with math formulas, where if you look at physics formulas, a lot of times there's other terms that come into play under very different physical conditions. And a lot of the physics that we learn are simplified versions that's basically, moving nowhere close to the speed of light. We can simplify the laws of gravity pretty well, right? But there's all these other terms that come into play when you're moving fast enough or have enough momentum or there's enough mass nearby. And this is very similar in that way, where it's like some things come into play in some circumstances, but not in others.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Yearly really wants Ituralde to take this one victory and turn it into re-holding the wall, which has been blown open. And Ituralde says, no. We're in a war of attrition. We're not retaking the wall. We're not keeping the city. We are simply killing as many of these Trollocs over as long of a period of time as we can. Your city is now my sandbox. And then we get the fun contradiction of but if the enemy knows what we're doing, because then we have to change it. And it's, you should have abandoned the city, Yearly. The city is not where a general should be making a final stand.
No. It's a trap. It's a death trap, right? And if Rand hadn't come for him, he would have died there.
Yeah. And sometimes being in a death trap and holding is victory. That's one of the really weird, screwed up things about mass war. But
remember the Alamo.
I wish people would actually remember the Alamo and not just remember to say remember the Alamo, but whatever.
Ooh, do you want to give us a lesson on the Alamo?
We lost. It's not a rousing victory. the losers were pulled out from under desks in their piss-soaked trousers going, kill me. It's horrible and stupid. They shouldn't have been fighting that. They were fighting to make the Republic of Texas an independent country that had slavery. And Mexico was like, you cannot steal our land to do slavery. Fuck all the way off. And then the quote-unquote heroes all either died or were pulled out from under desks in piss-soaked trousers like cowards. And it's really hilarious to have people say, remember the Alamo, like it's a victory call. And it's like, if you knew a goddamn thing about the Alamo, you would be embarrassed, not proud. I don't know much about it, but I know that much. It's very silly.
I went to Texas. I lived in Texas when I was in middle school or elementary school, late elementary school, early middle school. And the Alamo was drilled into us as a heroic tale. And that's something I had to unlearn as I got older. Because the story they tell you is it's a fairy tale. You know, it's a fairy tale of heroes standing up for what's right.
They specifically wanted an independent nation where they could do slavery free from even the controls of the U.S. government. Like, y'all are not heroes. Y'all are embarrassing.
It's amazing how much deprogramming I had to do once I got older and grew up. I mean, just spending a fair amount of time in my youth in the South, right? Like Southern Virginia, Texas, Mississippi.
The historical revisionism in that part of the country is its own thing I've had to learn about, because I was raised by people who were trying really hard to get to a true version of history, and learning that there are swaths of the country where myth making is actually held up as a virtue rather than as a thing to avoid is that was the whole thing for me to learn unto itself. I mean, not that we don't have our myths out here, but just like my specific experience was very much like, let's pull back the curtain on the myth. I was like, surely this is everyone's experience. No, it is not.
And there's a big difference between simplifying history so that a child can understand it, and like maybe you might not be able to get all the nuance in for younger generations versus just complete myths.
Right. Yeah, no, for sure.
Fuji's asking me if Virginia counts as the South. Okay, complicated question, right? Because Virginia definitely has regions.
West Virginia, Best Virginia.
Yeah, some of those regions counts as the South. Most of them do not, right? So there's the area near D.C. that is certainly not part of the South, right? That is urban area outside of D.C. And there is Hampton Roads, which is coastal Virginia Beach, Norfolk, that area. That is old blood South, right? That has manors, that has plantations, that has dynasties. And then you head west towards West Virginia, and that's Appalachian South.
Right.
Because essentially that's the bleed over from the Appalachian Mountains. There's the valley right before you get up into the Appalachians into West Virginia, before you go into that transition from valley to mountainous. And as you know, geography changes culture, right? And so, yeah, and that's very Bible Belt South.
Right. Yeah, you've got the layers of when and where did people initially settle, and when and where did people find their economic fortunes in the agrarian versus urban sectors, and the speed at which people could move their goods and move themselves. Really, yeah. It's complicated. But yeah, anytime, for people who are not in the U.S., anytime you see two states with the same name, you know, like north and south, east and west, one has a direction, one doesn't have a direction, you can blame the Civil War. And, you know, one of those is going to be more the South than the others. And North Dakota, South Dakota is a little, you know, far away from all that. But the fact that those divisions exist is still a knock-on effect of the Civil War slavery debate thing.
Kansas and Arkansas.
Yeah, for sure.
Arkansas, for those of you.
But yeah, we like to pretend that the Civil War was a long time ago, but in fact, it is still just looming over every single thing in every single state constantly.
It wasn't that long ago, and we've passed so many laws since then that kind of keep it going. Like,
we've never really finished the cultural part of the war. We signed paperwork. Rich guys signed papers to say the war was over, but we didn't actually resolve the true issue, which is, are we a racial caste society, and that's good or not?
Right.
And, there's a lot of myth making in the South about how to interpret that history and its implications on the present. Like, one of the most interesting things I learned about all of that in the last, 10 years was that all those Confederate monuments that everyone likes to get their panties in a bunch about, very, very few of them were put up anywhere near to the Civil War. A lot of them were put up 2.5, 3 generations later as part of a revisionist thing that has nothing to do with the immediate aftermath of the war at all.
Closer to the Jim Crow era stuff.
Exactly. And that was one of those, these aren't even actual Confederate monuments. In the sense that they were from the Confederacy. They're not.
And the other thing, there's tons of ignoring the racism that was going on in the North and is still going on in the North, right? The fact that Portland was a sundown town until the 1950s.
Oregon was a sundown state.
Still sundown state, right? Just crazy shit like that there was nowhere that was safe.
Oh, no, for sure. It's just
different levels of dangerous.
Well, and the different kinds of myths about it, right? The myth in the South is that everyone was fine with slavery. The myth in the North is that everyone was not fine with slavery, right?
Right.
It's a very different kind of myth. And I consider myself Northern, even though obviously I'm Western, which is a whole separate thing. But, my people have always aligned themselves with the Northern cause in this division. So this is actually not true. I've done the genealogy. I got people on both sides.
I've not done the genealogy. I do know, though, that my father's side did come over from Italy. I think my father's first generation immigrant, right? Or at post, he's first generation born in the U.S., if that makes sense.
Yeah, the firstborn generation. Yeah, that is my father-in-law. No, that is my husband. My father-in-law was born in England. That was my great-grandfather was the first. That was my most recent immigrant. But no, my mom's family in particular, we've done the genealogy, and they were some very poor farmers that have just been trickling on over to the U.S. since before it was the U.S. And some of them aligned with the Southern cause in all of that, managed to have 1 or 2 enslaved people and took up arms to defend slavery. They're there. It's not most of them, but there's definitely a couple of branches that, ultimately joined up with the Mormon Church and ended up doing weirder things than slavery. But
you can't control who you're related to, unfortunately.
No. Honestly, I don't mind. It's fascinating to just be every piece of this story of American history, I actually have an ancestor playing an on-the-ground role. And I can attempt to, if I can get into what that person experienced, it sort of helps me build the whole scene around them. So I actually kind of enjoy having a really broad spread of American history in my family tree, even if sometimes it's oh, I'm descended from slave owners. Well, what? Every white person in the U.S. is descended from people who upheld segregation and slavery and all of that. We're all descended from people who were fine with it at some point. I like putting a date and a place onto that and saying, okay, let me try to get into this particular town as a microcosm of the state, as a microcosm of the country, as a microcosm of the decade. But no, you can't control it. You can simply be no, those birth dates don't line up. I don't actually think that's my ancestor anyway.
Whereas I've looked more at my own personal experience just with living in so many places growing up and even after growing up, right? The job market has kind of bounced me around quite a bit in my adult life. And my father also had trouble hanging on to work for more than about 3 years at a time. He usually was able to bounce to a better job every time he moved jobs, but it was frequently, every 2 to 3 years we moved cities, right? And so I've lived in many places all over the United States. And I feel like I have a pretty good grasp of not necessarily everything about cultures, but some of the differences that exist in the different regions. And part of that is time-stamped as well, right? Because I lived in certain places in the 80s and 90s, and certainly they've changed since then. So, I'm I can tell you all about Houston in the 90s, or the suburbs of Houston in the 90s, but I'm sure that's very not relevant anymore.
The more shit changes, the more it stays the same, right?
There is that as well, yes. and there is a reason why you will never catch me back in Texas. I couldn't stand the heat back then, and that was before 20 years of global warming. Anyway, we've strayed way off topic as we've ended this chapter, because I think we've ended this chapter.
You think? You think we're done?
Yeah.
I think we're done.
I think we're done. Shall we turn off recording?
Okay, thank you everyone for listening.
recording is on.
This recording's on fire.
Please, no, don't burn it. I don't want to redo this chapter. I just want to do it once.
I know, just get it. You just need to get it over with. Rip it off like a Band-Aid.
Oh, thanks to all the live folks for wishing me a happy birthday. Appreciate that.
Yeah, for the recorded folks, wish Seth a happy birthday, because apparently that's the only way I'll remember that it's his birthday, is if we make it a whole thing on the podcast. Because I forgot that it was your birthday. But, I also forget when my anniversary is. So, like, it's not like I'm specially hating on you. I'm just bad with calendars.
Dude, never too. She keeps getting our anniversary wrong. And I'm just like, I've had to correct her so many times. So this is a funny story. Shortly after we were together for like 2 years or something like this, one of her friends wanted to get us like an anniversary gift. I forget, and got us one of these little light up things. And it has the night sky printed on it from the night that the date printed on it, right? So she goes to Never and says, so when did you and Seth meet? And she was off by a year. And so we have this plaque that has the Starry Night from a year after we met.
We'll call it a year and a day to really cement it, Yeah.
Well, because we met on Thanksgiving, right? On a specific year, but the Thanksgiving changed dates. So our anniversary is a certain date, but because Thanksgiving moves, she always thinks it's on Thanksgiving, but it's technically not most years.
Sure. Oh, that's funny.
And so I'm always like, no, remember, it's the 26th. It's not Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving was the 27th or whatever. Yeah, this year. So
that's cute.
She forgets. Anyway, we joke sometimes that I am very much she's the man of the relationship, because I have to do the cooking and the cleaning and the laundry and remember all the dates. And no one has ever, like, I see those like videos of women being like, oh my God, I can't believe my husband left out the shoes or left clothes on the floor or left this mess for me. And I'm like, yeah, well, my wife does that.
It's almost like gender roles are dumb. And stereotypes are only kind of grounded in truth.
Mm-hmm. I'm certainly the yin to her yang, if you want to go into the Wheel of Time statements in terms of the someone has to clean and someone has to create chaos, right? Because if I've lived with someone where we both clean and then we just lived in this sterile place that neither one of us would touch, right? And it didn't feel like we lived there, and it was kind of awful. And if you're both messy, the mess just piles up. But if one person's creating the chaos and the other one's cleaning it up, it's like these two opposing forces that actually balance each other out and frustrate the fuck out of you. But it's more effective, I feel like, in that way.
Yeah. Brandon and I have really split up which messes we make or create. We've really evenly figured out like which chores. I'm like, look, I will clean the kitchen so that you can destroy it and make an absolute mess at it. Like, that is what we are doing for sure. But then when it comes to stuff that has to do with like more harsh chemicals or being really tall or whatever, I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna just sort of defer that chore until you get tired of it being dirty and deal with it. I'm terrible at managing money, which translates into I'm also terrible at managing all the pantry stuff, right? That man has to have the whole map of what food we are bringing into the house and like how we are affording it and managing it. Like, I will help you keep the kitchen clean, but you are in charge of making the mess. The mess is your business. I just clean it.
Yeah, that's sort of my thing. Never buys the food, right? Because she has very specific, a lot of things where she's like, I can't eat that because of its ingredients. And so she sort of does the heavy lifting on knowing what she can bring into the house. But then for me, it's like, okay, whatever's in the house, I can cook with. Right, and that's safe for me. And so that's sort of how we divide up that level of labor. Is she buys safe ingredients, and then I create things that we enjoy. Although she's done far more cooking than when we first started dating. Mostly just because it's like she sees me do something and she's like, oh, I can do that, and then
like, nothing like an encouraging example, parallel play. Hey, how can you remind me how you did that? Can you stand at my elbow and like tell me how the smell needs to translate to the yeah. No, and she's become a very, very good cook, right? That's one of those skills that I was very happy to help her learn. Yeah, totally. No, Brandon's helped me learn to cook a lot in that way. Like, I could never cook before, but like just, if he's there and I'm watching enough times, like, I could take over one little step. I could take over two little steps, and pretty soon I'm doing half the cooking. At least, until that hyper focus runs out.
Right. Well, and the other thing that she's done is she's become a much better baker than I ever was, right? Because she's become, being gluten-free, it's very difficult to get baked goods. And if you do get them, they're not always that good, right? And so being capable of making them herself has become like one of her big passions and something she's become very, 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 very good at.
Oh, yeah. When you can't find the product you want at the store, the sense of God powers that comes from being able to manifest it the way you want it at home consistently. And, oh, look at that. It's a lot cheaper and creates a lot less packaging, et cetera, et cetera. It's a feeling of power. It's a feeling of real creative power to be able to do that.
However, it does lead to an excess of baked goods in my house, which does lead to an excess of belly fat. You know?
Well,
I eat so many tasty goodies.
That's a separate problem.
I can't stop myself.
That's what Pilates are for.
The food's too good. The amount, it's so funny because the weight that I gain, because my week is split where I work long days. So the amount of weight that I lose when I'm working because I'm not sitting around the house eating sweet treats versus the amount that I gain every weekend because they balance out. It's pretty good. But I can say I weigh myself daily, so I can see it go up during the weekend and down during the week. And I blame Never 100% and her baked goods.
Yeah, I do think that blaming women is the correct move at all times. Blame women.
I mean, it's how I get away with my life, right? Like anything wrong with the podcast, like I definitely blame you, right? 100%. Yeah, sense. That's why I brought you onto the podcast because how else could I blame a woman?
Yeah, I mean,
totally
makes sense. I'm glad I could operate as a scapegoat for you, so you could feel slightly better about yourself in this world where everything's already been handed to you on a silver platter.
Yeah, you get it. See?
Yeah. No, I understand my place in this world.
Can we shut the hell up before I get myself in deeper trouble?
Cancel Seth. He's a misogynist.
Well, if you didn't know that by now.
I know, right? No, it's, I'm glad I don't know hardly anyone who could manage to fix their face to say that unironically. Thank you for listening to the Wheel of Time Spoilers podcast. Please rate and review us on your podcast app and consider supporting us on Patreon for ad-free episodes. What Spoilers is a production of Fox and Raven Media. For more podcasts from Fox and Raven Media, visit our website at foxandravenmedia.com.